الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Hi.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to have a conversation, but I'll try to scrutinize your ideas a bit.
Go ahead. Yeah.
If it doesn't.
What are you? Are you Muslim, Christian, atheist? Okay.
Yeah, like a psychologist.
Okay.
So I have a question about this here.
Science and Islam. Yes, go ahead.
So the argument here is that the Quran is full of miracles.
Yes.
And part of the miracle is that there are certain scientific ideas which were discovered centuries
After the coming of Islam.
Yeah. So, but I feel like you're kind of nitpicking here because, I haven't read all of them. I've heard the arguments before.
Yeah.
But it always feels like we interpret passages which they're not expressing something explicitly scientific. It's often metaphorical, or we have made discoveries recently in medicine and astrophysics, etc. And we try to find patterns. Like we try to identify ways in which it could possibly say that in the Quran.
Well, I would agree with you actually.
You agree with that?
Yeah. I agree with you. Many Muslims try to kind of fit Islam into science. That's wrong. So the purpose, like when you read the Quran, when you try to understand the author of the Quran, he's not trying to give you a book of math or a book of science, like go and, I don't know, do an experiment or something like this. It's more profound than this. So we would say that in the very nature, and when you think about it, science as the experimental natural science is ever changing. It wouldn't make sense to base revelation from God on something that's changing, right? Each one has its unique kind of approach, right? So we wouldn't say, the Quran is scientific or something like this. However, there are these basic fundamental facts that are not necessarily known by science. Because imagine, think about it. We would say that God is just. He's more comprehensive than giving you a scientific book. Because this, experimental science, natural science, only came, a couple of 100 years ago, right? If God gave you a scientific book, it wouldn't be just. It wouldn't be accessible to all people at all times, right? Rather, He would give you something to think about. Things that are accessible to the naked human eye. Something think of the trees, think of the sun and the moon, things that you can see. You don't have to be a philosopher or a scientist and all these things.
Yeah.
If you kind of try to, put the Quran or look at it from a scientific lens, you're not doing it justice, right? I would agree with you. It's not about only science. It's maybe one argument, right? You can build on, but take the whole Quran as in general. Yeah, I would agree with you. You don't have to you don't have to believe in the Quran because of its scientific things. You have to take a more comprehensive approach to the Quran. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But before, what do you believe in God?
That's a complicated question because we have to define God first.
But if you don't believe in it, how are you going to define it?
No, the thing is, when you say God, you have an idea in your mind that's related to the word God.
Okay.
But perhaps my idea is completely different from yours. To the point that if I say I believe in God and I explain what I mean, no, that's not
I see.
God.
I agree with you. Let's take it back. Let's start from us. The existence, the universe. Do you think we came from something or from nothing?
Nothing.
We came from nothing.
I mean, I don't know. The answer is I don't know.
But that's not an answer. That's just you don't know. I don't know is not an answer.
No, it is an answer. It's an expression of intellectual humility. I wasn't there. You know what I mean?
But
and that's also the beginning of philosophy and the beginning of science. In order to conduct scientific inquiry or philosophical inquiry.
But the whole purpose of science and philosophy is to give answers, not to tell you I don't know.
But the first step is to say I don't know.
It's true. Like, in order to get into certainty, you first need to doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Not doubt in the extreme sense. It's gonna be radical. It's gonna lead into absurdities.
I would argue in the extreme sense, but I agree to disagree.
But that's fine. Let's go to that actually. Because to be honest with you, I can't go into any type of conversation with you if we don't build some basics.
Okay.
Right? Do you think that we can know anything for certain?
Yes. Yes.
Give me some examples of the things we know for certain.
Well, you know Descartes? René Descartes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so his philosophy, he wrote a book called Meditations on First Philosophy.
Yeah.
He expounded the idea that one thing that we can know with certainty is that we exist.
Why?
Because we experience. The fact of experiencing in itself, it cannot be questioned. Like if I am right now thinking, feeling, speaking, it demonstrates that I exist.
But what if the whole idea of you thinking, is an illusion?
If it's an illusion.
You think you are thinking, but you're actually not. And what I'm doing right now is what you suggested, is radical doubt. Because what I'm doing right now, the goal at the back of my head is not finding an answer, is doubting for the very sake of doubting. And that's not how our brains and our minds are built. We're built to find answers, because we're not going to have any peace or rest in our minds if we don't find answers. If we take this radical approach of just, skepticism, we're going to just, be skeptic for the sake of being skeptic, not for providing any answers or any solutions. And that's not how our brains are made, right? We're made to find answers, to look for explanations, right? And that's why you go that route, you're going to run into absurdity. You're not going to have peace, right? That's the first thing that I wanted to demonstrate. Obviously, I don't believe in that, right? I think that rational, logical human beings, whenever they see an answer that is most likely is the case, they take it and they go with it, because that's how we live our lives. If I keep, doubting, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to be just, handicapped.
Okay, I have two things to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, Descartes, he began with radical doubt, but he ended not only at a belief that he exists, that the world exists, but also that God exists.
Yeah, but he had in mind that I need answers. I need solutions. I doubt because to get to answer and solutions. Not I doubt because I just want to doubt, Because this, cynical philosophy, they have their own school in the Greek philosophy, and if you want to read about them, exactly. And they basically live their life as animals. If you read about this, I don't know what's his name.
Diogenes?
Yeah, he was basically just running naked in the streets. It's like it's not
I like Diogenes.
Yeah.
I like him very much,
but yeah, go back to Descartes. Finish your idea. Yeah.
So I think that if you begin with radical doubt, you are more likely to reach the truth.
Okay.
Because you question all the ideas, and I have reached some pretty profound truths, but it started with doubt.
Okay.
And the last thing is, it's not practical. You're saying it's not practical to doubt.
Yeah.
Then we're going to get to a pragmatic truth. So is Islam true because it's useful? Or is Islam true because it corresponds to
It is
reality?
true. Yeah, well, you're going to go back to and ask, what is truth? Is truth something that is, for example, is 1 + 1 = 2 because it's actual truth? Or is it because useful to us? What do you think? Do you think objective truth exists independent of our minds?
These are some profound questions, very profound questions.
Yeah.
Does truth exist outside of the human mind? Reality exists outside of the human mind. Truth, the thing is, truth, we access it through language. We access it through how do I say this? Math is a language, for instance. One
Yeah.
plus one equals 2. Math is a language that we use to explain reality. So, does truth exist? Yes, insofar as it tries to correspond to reality. Yes.
You kind of focus so much on the example. It's not, forget about like, for example, let's say the following statement, right? The part is always less than the whole. Is that statement a universal truth?
Deductive. That's the problem. We're talking about logic.
Yeah.
Deductive
Reasoning.
logic.
Yeah.
So, is deductive logic true, or is it just a manifestation of the structure of our minds? It's a profound question.
But that's the question: is that, let's say human minds disappear, right? Let's say there are no humans at all in existence.
Yeah.
If that happens, is the part going to be bigger than the whole, or is it going to stay the same? What do you think?
The part is always going to be less than the whole.
It's independent from the human minds.
Yeah.
That's the universal truth.
Yeah.
Okay?
But truth corresponds to reality.
But that's the thing, reality itself is an objective truth, independent of us.
Yes. But truth is psychological. Reality is not psychological. Or external reality. Truth is how we make sense of reality.
Truth.
See, this is actually a really complex subject. I had 3 classes just on the relationship between truth and reality. Like, it's complicated, and I understand why people don't want to. Like you're saying, it's not pragmatic. I understand that.
It's not practical. No. That's there's a difference between things being complicated and us making it complicated.
Have you studied metaphysics?
Somewhat. I'm interested in it.
Epistemology?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, to claim that it's overcomplicating things, you have to know it.
You see, so yeah, that's the very, to me, that's one thing that convinced me of Islam. If you have the human mind or the human machine, right, and you start from zero, like you start from extreme doubt, you strip yourself from all assumptions, and you go with that to find truth. I agree with you. You're gonna get nowhere.
You are going to get somewhere. That's what
You're gonna get nowhere. What I say,
okay.
if you start from zero, if you don't have anything to start with, you're not gonna be certain of anything. You're not gonna get anywhere. That's why Islam presupposes something in us that's called the fitrah.
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah.
It's just this thing that we cannot explain.
Yeah.
It's just in us, something installed in us
Yeah.
that give us this basic to start from, that gonna give us solid conclusions. Yeah, that's one thing that convinced me of Islam. Personally, I think the Greek philosophy as a whole, and by the way, everything you're saying is coming from one lens of school of philosophy. Because again, that comes from the Western colonization, right? Is that they think that the Greek philosophy and Roman philosophy is the only philosophy that exists, right? They never teach us about the Hindu philosophy or the Chinese philosophy or the Islamic philosophy, right? Who radically, right, disagree with the very fundamentals of Aristotelian logic and all these things, right? When you look at the Greek philosophy, that's the very thing. That's the very, like, nature of it. It's always about defining things without giving any solid, practical thing to go on with. It's only running in loops, always defining things and disagreeing, and philosophers coming again together, redefining things, and then they still some parts where some philosopher who disagree, and then they go again and they redefine things. Because they go on without any foundations. What do you think of that?
Do you have a good knowledge of Greek philosophy?
I would say good. Like, I didn't study it, but I read the basically I read all the fundamental books or basic books to know about Greek philosophy.
Do you know about Stoicism? And,
Yeah.
What else? Stoicism. Epicureanism.
Yeah, these themselves are different schools in the Greek philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are pretty solid answers to how we should live our lives. So like they're questioning another. They can still live a life of mental peace. You don't have to know the truth. Actually. That's fine. We can live your life according to one of each schools, but this is kind of presupposes that life is, or the whole existence is this life, and that's just the material life. We're gonna live and we're gonna die, and that's it, right? That's a bit hedonistic. It's like it's about this life. Don't think about, for example, the afterlife. Is there an afterlife? Islam kind of approaches these other questions. Is that where did we come from? What is the purpose of our life? Where are we gonna go? Are we gonna go? Is there something after death? Subhanallah, it's like you cannot, the human mind, all humans, Muslims, Christians, atheists, and whatnot, at some point in life, they start asking these questions. They don't stop at just, okay, I'm gonna live my life like this. Something inside of us tell us like, maybe there's something after life. Am I just gonna just live, eat, drink, have sex, I'm gonna die and that's it? We kind of, I don't know, we're forced or something compel us to think beyond that. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's called existential philosophy.
Yeah.
It's a profound question. Like everyone has them. You're right. Everyone has them. But is Islam true because it helps us
Answer these questions?
answer these questions?
No, we would say Islam is true because it's true. Yeah, but remember, I started with where did we come from, right? And then when you said we came from nothing, right? We went into all this. Yeah.
No, it's like there's astrophysicists today in the 21st century. Some of them make this argument.
Is that we came from nothing?
Yeah.
But does it make sense to you? Is that we came from nothing?
The universe does not need to obey the laws of logic. Do you think it makes sense that time is relative? Like, if I travel at the speed of light and I come back to Earth, you will be old. Like maybe 10 years passes for you, but maybe for me it's going to be a few minutes. Does that make sense to you?
Scientifically, it does make sense.
But no, that doesn't make sense. Time is time.
What is time to you?
Time is something that's linear, and it makes sense that it's the same for everyone.
But again, that's the thing about science. Like you're kind of explaining the whole universe from a scientific lens. But science itself, this whole theory of relativity could be wrong in 50 years, right?
Exactly.
That's why we're saying is that let's build on something solid. Something as solid as 1 + 1 = 2. Something as solid as the part is always less than the whole. Not on scientific theories, who they themselves need logic and math to give us these theories. That's why the question is that. So this is my answer.
Regress.
Yeah.
Talk about infinite regress.
That's my answer to the question is that did we come from nothing or something? The idea that we came from nothing is absurd naturally to our human minds. Naturally, without explaining it. If you're gonna require explanation, you're gonna have infinite regress of explanations.
Yeah. Cause and effect.
Yeah. But if you want to think about it intuitively, nothing itself, the very definition of nothing, is that it's the absence of anything, right? And here, there's another logical principle, is that for example, how can I give you something that I don't have? Right? Let's say I don't have money. How can I give you money? If nothing lacks the very thing, how can I make anything? If that makes sense to you? Yeah. So that's why it's kind of absurd to say that we came from nothing, because nothing can never produce anything. because it lacks the very substance of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the question, but I think you
Go ahead.
You already know what I'm gonna ask now.
Go ahead.
If God created the universe.
So here's the thing. So I told you, do you believe in God? You told me, what is God? So I dismissed the whole idea of God. I'm coming with no presuppositions. I've never even mentioned God. Let's go with this. How with this existential question that all humans ask: Did we come from something or nothing? Right? Do you still think that we came from nothing?
It is a possibility. Look, let's talk about composition fallacy.
Possibilities are not probabilities, right? If something is merely possible, that's evidence of nothing.
Yeah.
For example, you're a human being, right? Is it possible that you are a rock?
No.
It's possible. Maybe it's possible.
No, it's not. Look, possibility means I don't know. It's a profound philosophical statement. I actually don't know.
I would say is that
I know neither. Like that's the point. Neither
Yeah.
do you. Like that's what I'm trying to communicate.
it's gonna go back to the idea of, are we doubting for the sake of doubt, or are we doubting to find answers?
I have found answers.
But I don't know is not an answer. Like when I ask you the question, my question is yes or no. When you say I don't know, that's not an answer. It could change and you know something maybe in the future and you say yes or no.
Okay.
But again, the very idea, or the mere idea that because something is possible, therefore it's probable, is wrong.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna ask you a question. So you know the hippocampus in the brain? You know memory.
Yeah.
Is it more related to the hippocampus? Like where are memories stored? Is it in the hippocampus or in the temporal lobes?
Me personally,
No.
yeah. Well, we don't. That your question have layers of presuppositions and assumptions. You're assuming that memory is material, is in the mind. Meaning that if you remove the mind, you're not going to have memory. Prove that first.
Okay.
That's metaphysical.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not scientific. You cannot prove it scientifically.
I was trying to make it like the
By the way, the whole field of scientific theories is built on the best possible explanation. The best.
Yeah.
Meaning you're never certain of anything. You're
Yeah.
never certain of anything. Yet you're going with it.
Right.
You don't refute it just because something else is possible.
Right.
You know,
Science is a process, exactly.
it's ever changing, yeah.
Yeah. And like if you have a theory, you have to always
But again,
question it.
even that's the human mind run on induction reasoning. Induction reasoning is never certain.
Yeah.
It's like the best the evidence that you give you this explanation as the best possible explanation, and you go with it. That's how our minds, like, I'm gonna go to work today, right? I can either say and look, okay, the universe is gonna run like every day. I'm gonna go out and go to work safely, right? And that's induction reasoning. Even though it's possible, the moment I step outside, the moon is gonna fall on me. Is it possible? It is possible. But I don't build anything on this mere possibility and just stay at home and don't go to work. That's absurd. We wouldn't function in that way.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, okay. So, did we come from nothing?
If we suppose
Yeah.
that God exists, let's
Okay.
presuppose it.
Okay.
Or, I mean,
Yeah.
where did God come from?
So that's my whole thing, is that first, did we come from nothing or something? To be honest with you, I shouldn't explain that much. Again, it's naturally to us that coming from nothing is an absurd idea. We certainly came from something, right? Now your question comes, is that thing, where did it come from? What is it? did it? I'm gonna give you three options. It either came from itself, or it came from something else, or it always existed. I believe this is an exhaustive list. Do you have a fourth option?
Either it always existed,
Or it came from something else,
yeah.
or it came from itself.
Wrong question. The thing is, I hear these arguments often, and they say God is atemporal. It exists outside of time and outside of space.
No, we don't believe in that. We don't believe in that. We don't have this idea of time and space. Time and space is not a box that God is kind of outside and inside of it.
Okay.
Time is basically just the measure of change.
Okay.
I talked now, and I'm gonna talk in the future, and I talked in the past.
Yeah.
That's it. I moved from here to here. That's time.
Yeah.
It's not something physical, or it's not like the fabric of time. That doesn't make sense, right?
Okay.
So, yeah. Well, do you have a fourth option?
Is this yours?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
It's like God has always existed.
That's one option. That thing. We're not gonna call it God anymore.
Whatever,
Yet.
the creator.
The thing.
Demiurge.
The thing. Yeah.
The thing that created.
The thing that we came from,
The thing that we came from has always existed.
or it came from itself, or it came from something else.
If it has always existed, but it has always existed in time.
So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna let that conclusion come necessarily by the process of eliminating the other two conclusions.
Okay, so it came from itself.
It came from
I
something
don't
else.
know what that means.
Like think of a mother giving birth to itself.
Okay.
It doesn't make
I
sense
wanna-
already.
Like I could bring an argument in, but I want to see. Like I think it's better that you finish the argument.
Yeah, I think you can understand the argument. So I'm gonna just run through them, right? It cannot come from itself because again, it's absurd.
Yeah.
It kind of breaks the idea of existing and not existing at the same time. Again, think of the mother giving birth to itself. In order to her to give birth to begin with, she must exist, but she did not exist. She hasn't existed yet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's kind of contradiction.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. The other option is that it came from something else, and then we can ask the question: that thing came from something else, and that infinite regress. Infinite regress refutes that idea. So we're left with the necessarily conclusion that that thing always existed.
Always.
Existed.
But the word always.
Yeah.
That's related to time or what? That's what I was thinking.
What do you mean in reality? Do you think that time governs these things or governs reality?
My thinking is that if there is a God that created the universe, or a creator of the universe, it would have to be existing independently of time.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Time is not a thing to exist independent of or dependent on. You're thinking of time as something governing God or governing everything. It's not about that. Time is merely
It's not okay. I see.
what's the word I'm looking for? The sense of change. Time in itself is not something. It's just the change.
itself.
Yeah, it's a change. Like there's no a universal clock that ticks and time moves. No. The moment you change, that description of change is time.
You know, that's interesting. What's his name? Forgot his name. He's a philosopher. David Hume.
Yeah,
You know about it?
yeah.
He said time doesn't like the past and the future don't exist. It's only the present.
Yeah, that's a different thing. That's about reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but regardless.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the necessary conclusion that thing
yeah.
always existed.
Right.
So now we have one attribute of that thing, that it always existed. The rest is gonna fall naturally. in order for that thing that always existed to make this whole existence, it's gonna need a lot of power. So it must be powerful.
You're attributing human traits to God in a sense. Will.
What do you mean human traits?
Does God have will? Can God make decisions?
So these are not human traits.
That's what I'm saying. I'm arguing it is. You're like projecting human will to the creator.
So it's not a human will, again, like it's will. That thing, will, is regardless of a human or God.
I think that's a comfortable idea. Is it true or is it it's convenient? It's fun. It's comfortable.
Maybe it's a working idea. Maybe it's actually true.
Maybe
Why you always okay,
maybe.
yeah.
It's just like these are my thoughts. This is the way that I.
What is the definition of will?
The ability to make decisions.
Yeah, true. And it's not you're kind of coming to the whole thing from the other way around. You're the one supposing these things. I'm approaching the thing without any suppositions, and whenever I discover anything, I just call it what we know it. In order for that thing to make us in a specific point in time, rather than another specific point in time, that entails, naturally, will.
Yeah.
So now we have three attributes. It always existed. It had power, will itself. Behind it, there's intention.
You know what I'm gonna say, though. Go ahead.
If you do anything, you have intention behind it. There's no reason to not assume the same thing about God.
I want you to understand where the frustration comes from.
From these jumpings, or you think leaping of faith?
From the idea that God has will and God has intention. Why I'm uncomfortable with it.
Why?
You know Brahman in Hinduism? Brahman doesn't have will.
Because Brahman is everything. Yeah.
It makes sense, like, whatever. It doesn't have intention. It's exactly right.
But it comes from the idea of the God that they have, and then they come to these conclusions. We're doing the very opposite. We're approaching the whole thing without any assumptions. We're just calling whatever we find.
Okay, continue.
Okay, so will, intention, power existed. That thing must be independent
Of his creation.
of anything,
Of anything.
because everything else is contingent or dependent.
Yeah.
So if that thing is dependent also, we're going to go back to the infinite regress.
Yeah.
We're going to have infinite chain of dependency. So we must stop at some point and say that this thing is independent. Right? So these, again, knowledge is going to be another obvious one. In order to make anything, let alone the universe and its laws and our bodies, you need at least some amount of knowledge. This is we're describing God basically.
This makes me think of projection. Projecting. Like, you're not going to agree, but
Yeah.
it's just, it feels very much like we're projecting aspects of human experience.
But again, like we're humans. Can you think of any way, like we're humans? We've always been humans. We can only think as humans.
It's,
We're assuming something that it's not possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in the Quran, but in the Bible it says man is made in the image of God.
We have a hadith similar to that Adam was made in the image of God. Yeah. But that thing, it has a philosophical idea as well. Is that what you say? Basically, just like God. You remember the idea about if I don't have something, I can't give it to you, right? God is all these attributes. The thing that He's gonna create is gonna have these attributes, but they're not as perfect as attributes of God.
Right.
Yeah. So God is you know, and God knows.
Yeah.
But your knowledge is not the same as the knowledge of God.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you
It's
go.
limited.
That's the very explanation of Adam was created in the image of God.
Right.
To us.
But what I'm afraid of is that God is made in the image of man. God created man, right? But what if
Man created God?
You know, that's my perspective. Man created God, the idea of God, and by extension, gave God human-like traits. I know you disagree with it,
But I think you're
this is the problem. I'll give you
you're
my first-
presupposing that the concept of God is a man-made concept. Yeah.
But also the frustration comes from the fact I know that in Hinduism, God has no intention, God has no will, God has no knowledge. All these things are not traits of God. So we have the ability to think of God as something transcendent.
We believe God is transcendent.
Absolutely. You're still using human-like. You're still attributing.
You see that thing? Again, that's Islamic philosophy. That thing comes from Platonic idea of forms and ideas. The idea that there's a universal form, right? We don't agree on that idea to begin with. You know, like for example, philosophers like Ibn Taymiyyah, Razi, Ibn Sina.
I heard of them.
Yeah, they disagreed with this whole. Again, if you read the Islamic philosophy, you're gonna find a totally different worldview. We look at the world in a different idea, right? Your idea is that we giving human attributes comes from the philosopher's idea. So, you know that Greek philosophers believe in divine simplicity. Divine simplicity. Do you know what it is? The idea is that God is static, let's say, right? They don't attribute anything to God.
Yeah, Aristotle.
Exactly.
The unmoving first mover.
Exactly. The uncaused cause, the unmoving mover, right? So why they did that is they don't want to do your things, that they don't want to mix God with creation. Because the moment they describe God in these ideas, they think is that they're mixing these two, but they don't want to. They want to keep this uncaused cause as he is, right? And they want to keep him at. The moment they do this, they're gonna defile God, let's say, right? But this comes from the Platonic idea of forms and ideas. You know the philosophy of is that forms, that we have universal forms, right? Let's say a cat, right? There's a red cat, right? And you have a red, I don't know, pen, right? So, according to Plato, there's a universal thing called redness, right? And the red cat is sharing that same redness with the red pen through this universal idea form, right? We don't agree with that. We say that there's no universal things. We say that each and every instance has its unique existence. So your knowledge is uniquely to you. It's different from my knowledge. They don't share anything in the universal thing, right? The same thing, the knowledge of God does not share anything with your knowledge. The very essence of that knowledge is different from your knowledge essence. That's our idea of this whole thing about describing God in our sense. That's why, for example, we find very early the companions of the Prophet said there's something similar about the Jannah, the paradise. When the Prophet used to describe paradise, he used to describe them with this language, right? There's a fruit, there is rivers, and there's trees, right? But he goes on to say it's nothing like anything you've ever seen or you've ever thought of, right? So the companions say is that it's only the limit of the limitation of knowledge, that we don't have any other expression to describe paradise other than the same things that we use for this world. Just so we have an idea, right? The same thing with God, right? I cannot describe the very whatness of God's essence, right? But I can describe him what he described him was, just so I can get an idea. At the very end, I can have a solid minimum idea. I don't have to understand God fully to be saved and to believe in him and to believe he exists. I need only these basic ideas that he exists, he's knowledgeable, he's perfect, and all these things, right?
You just said something very interesting. That there are certain things about God we cannot know.
Yeah, sure.
But I guess the line that you're drawing in the sand is different from mine.
Line between what and what?
So, we know that God is knowledge, has knowledge.
Knowledge, yeah.
He has will,
Power, intention.
Power. I'm saying we don't know those things either.
So, you can say that, right? I can't stop you from saying that. But, to me, I think I used logic and the faculties that I have very fairly to arrive to these conclusions in an objective way.
Okay, so you know about Taoism?
Dawah?
Taoism. It's like a Chinese.
Oh, Taoism. Yeah.
Right. The first sentence of the book, the Tao that can be spoken of is not the real Tao.
Yeah.
Whenever you talk about the Tao, which is it's kind of like the Brahman, God in general. Whenever you talk about God, that's not God. Because God is always beyond.
I agree with that in a sense. Yeah. We say that anything that you can think of is not God. Because God is transcendent from any human ideas.
Right.
Yet, you must know these, if you, again, it comes to practicality. If you're going to stop at this, you're not going to know God, you're not going to describe anything about God, right? You're not going to do anything, right? But we require these things. We run with these things, and we say that it's nothing like God.
It's kind of pragmatic again.
Yeah, okay. I agree with you.
The Hindus, they're fine.
And that's when it comes the very cherry on top, let's say, right? Remember the idea of if we start from nothing, we're going to get to nothing, right? That's why God gave us this fitrah, what we believe in Islam. Let's say it's a theory, right? It's an assumption.
Yeah.
That you have this fitrah. God can give you in this fitrah the minimum tools, right? To recognize something outside. So we say, you alone are not going to get to the truth. You're going to have faculties and tools to get somewhere, but you need help. And that's where revelation comes from. Revelation, by definition, is something from outside this world. It's something that comes from outside that your inside device of fitrah is supposed to connect with. The moment you see it, you should connect and should complement your journey. That's what we believe in. That's the Quran is that if you approach the Quran with this fitrah, with a sound reasoning, you're going to come to the conclusion that the Quran is helping you come to. Yes. That's why philosophers never get anywhere. Because they assumed, they took God out of the picture. They said we're going to depend on our minds and we're going to run with it. And they always end up disagreeing on something. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, that all philosophers agree on fully. That's why you need help from outside. And God sent you this help.
Are you a philosopher?
Sorry?
Are you a philosopher?
No, I'm not.
First one.
I mean, depending on the definition of philosophy, or what's a philosopher is. You philosophize. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you begin with the conclusion or the... Do you begin with the conclusion?
I began with I assumed my conclusion.
Okay, you know what? This is going to get into another topic. Okay. Look. Philosophical inquiry. looking for the truth. In order to begin looking for the truth, you have to say, I don't know.
I agree.
And then you search, and then you find the truth.
I agree.
Or is that what you're doing? Or what you're doing is you begin with
The truth?
the conclusion.
Yeah. Assuming my conclusion.
Yeah. Let me see how I conclude it.
Okay.
Kind of like Thomas Aquinas,
Yeah. Okay.
which I do not like.
I see what you're saying. And that's another side note. Let me explain to you. Is that I don't know if I want to say unfortunately or fortunately. Us humans, we're not logical machines. We're not like 1 + 1 = 2, right? Fortunately, let's say, or unfortunately, we have this psychological thing that even we cannot describe, right? That's why, for example, you're gonna find people, right, looking at something like 1 + 1 and say, no, it's 3, it's 5, it's right. They even might be convinced that it's the truth, but there's some reason that's stopping them from approaching it, from accepting it. This is the psychological, spiritual, whatever you want to call it, even if you believe it or not. But there's something stopping them.
Skepticism.
I wouldn't say skepticism. I would say that's the soul, right? There's these attributes of the soul, right? There's the selfishness, greed, arrogance, right? These things that we cannot stop, right? So if we were logical machines, everything would be like robots, They would maximize their benefit and do that. But we have another side, unfortunately. That's why the Quran addresses these things that way. For you, even if God comes down to here, if you don't want to believe in Him, you can, believe me, find millions of reasons to not believe in Him. So it's not at the end. It's not about evidence or logical thinking. It's about you being honest with yourself. Yeah, I cannot help you anymore. That's what I can give you all these explanations, all these philosophical ideas, all these logical conclusions and arguments. I can speak for 3 days. But if you yourself don't want to do this, I can't help. There's something outside of my capabilities, outside of the logic, even outside of logic itself. Yeah.
I guess you want to stop this?
Up to you.
I want to continue.
Go ahead.
You're assuming that you have the truth.
Assuming.
I can't help you saying I can't help you.
Okay.
That means there is something that you know that I do not know.
Okay. Even though I explained it to you.
I disagree with it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
What I'm saying is there's something that I know that you don't know.
Can you explain it to me?
Okay, I'll ask you another question. We talk about human beings. We have a soul with different attributes. What if the fitra is one of them?
What is the?
I don't know, the fitra?
Yeah.
It's another thing that this is exactly what people like Sigmund Freud, Freud
Yeah.
talks about. We are afraid of death. We are afraid of living in a meaningless world. So we turn to religion. It's kind of like God is like our father. And we use Him to give structure to our lives.
Yeah.
We can't live in a world where there is no authority. It's painful. It's meaningless. So that's kind of like the idea. Is this not the? We have instincts, right? Sexuality, etc. Well, the fitra is a religious instinct.
So I'm not saying that the fitra is special from any other attributes. I'm saying the fitra and all other attributes are coming from something else. Even if I assume your thing, there's a question that you still need to answer. Where all these attributes came from? I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you still need to answer this question: that where these all came from.
Okay. I don't want to make you like. I don't want to bother you.
No. So I don't think that I am bothered or anything. Go ahead, ask questions.
Okay.
Push back. Yeah.
So God, either or the Creator,
Yeah.
either came from nothing, always existed, or
Came from itself.
came from itself. What if we just cut off the creator and just thought about the universe? Either the universe came from nothing, came from itself, or always existed.
Okay.
What if you came, well, let's come to the same conclusion. The universe always existed.
Yeah.
And that's actually what Hindus believe.
Yeah.
That the universe is always a cycle. So the universe begins, dies, it is reborn.
Start again. Two things. First, you can do that, and if you go through the same process, you're gonna end up basically describing the universe as God. Just you're gonna change the thing, right?
Spinoza.
Yeah.
Says the same thing.
Another thing is that there's something called the contingency argument. Is that the universe as we see it is contingent and made up of contingent things, meaning things that could have been another way. Do you know the three classification of things? Necessary things, impossible things, and contingent things, or possible things, right? Necessary things, they exist because they are necessary, meaning they can't be any other way. They're necessary, right? And there are things that are impossible. They don't exist. A square circle, they don't exist. And there are things that are possible. Possible things, anything you see. It is something that is contingent, meaning it could have been any other way. Meaning, I don't know, this thing is yellow, right? It could have been red, could have been blue. It could have been a circle. It could have been all these things. So it's contingent, right? Contingent things cannot explain themselves. Why? Because they're not necessary. So how are you going to explain that this thing that is contingent is yellow and not red? Can you explain why it's yellow, not red?
The paper is yellow because it's configured in such a manner.
Why? You cannot explain it without appealing to something external to that thing.
I'll try to explain it.
Explain it.
So, the atomic, what's it called? Molecular.
You're explaining to me the how. I want why.
I can try. Let me try to finish.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The molecular configuration of this piece of paper makes it so that it's yellow and not red.
Okay.
Right? And the configuration is contingent.
Exactly.
But the existence of the matter which makes up this piece of paper is necessary.
Could the matter not exist?
No.
No. Why not?
Spinoza talks about this.
You know, we have like scientifically it's proven that the universe came at a specific time, one time.
Mathematical equations only get to like a fraction after the Big Bang started. We don't know what happened during the Big Bang, like the beginning, and before.
Is it conceivably possible that matter does not exist?
Are you asking my opinion?
I'm at you, of course. I'm talking to.
Like the thing is, I don't know.
I'm asking. Is it? Think about it. Is it conceivably possible? Let me ask you this question.
It is possible. Yeah.
That's what.
Right.
That's the very definition of contingent things. It is conceivably possible to think of them on any other way. In order to explain them, you need to appeal to something external, and that thing, if it's self-contingent, you're gonna have to appeal to something. We're going to infinite regress. So a bunch of contingent things, which is basically the universe, cannot explain itself. You have to appeal to a necessary thing. That's the argument of contingency. You can Google it up.
Is it conceivably possible that matter itself, not the configuration, but matter itself is necessary? Not
Is
that
it
it's true,
conceivable?
but conceivable.
Conceivable because that matter itself is necessary. No, because it's physical. According to what we know about matter, anything that's physical, it is impossible to exist forever. According to the second law of thermodynamics.
Nothing can be created, nothing can be...
No, about the entropy.
Entropy.
Yeah, because it's that energy in this universe is limited. And at some point in time, it's going to end. Energy is nothing but matter.
The expansion of the universe.
Yeah,
But matter cannot be destroyed or created. That's the...
in a closed system.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the composition fallacy?
Is that the bar does not justify the whole?
Kind of. If a part has a trait, the whole itself doesn't necessarily have that trait.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
So, in this world, we notice that things always come from something.
Yeah,
But if we take the totality of the universe and say that because things always come from somewhere, that the universe as a totality must also come from somewhere, that's composition fallacy.
but you're assuming that the universe itself is something else, like kind of independent. But the universe, in the very definition of universe, is basically nothing but like the sum of the things that's inside it.
That's a good counter argument. It's a good counter argument. But
Are you from Algeria?
yes, how'd you know?
Okay. You look Algerian. Yeah. Think about it.
Right. But, again, you're gonna hate me for this.
No, not at all.
But this is deductive thinking, and deductive thinking perhaps doesn't correspond. The deductive thinking cannot necessarily unravel the biggest mysteries.
You mean inductive?
Deductive.
Deductive.
It is deductive to say that contingent things must come from necessary things. A contingent thing cannot come from a contingent thing.
Yeah.
That's deductive thinking.
No, I don't think so. I think that's inductive.
Inductive means you begin with experiences, you begin with data, and you create patterns out of that data.
You expand from like a specific to general.
Exactly.
And when you expand inductively, you can never be sure because there's always other possibilities.
Okay. So this idea that contingent things cannot come from contingent things.
That's deductive, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm saying that deductive thinking cannot. It's a very fundamental philosophical claim. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I would like to be corrected. But it doesn't feel like deductive arguments can solve the greatest mysteries of the universe.
I would agree because deductive thinking basically is tautological thinking. It's tautological arguments. They're like hashu. It's like formal. You know formal logic, right?
Right.
It doesn't depend on the substance, right? It depends on the form.
Right.
No matter what you plug into the form, you're gonna have the same conclusion.
Right.
So even if you have a form, meaning if the premises are true, the conclusion necessarily follow that it's true.
Right.
Yeah, you're saying that does not explain the very big. I would agree with you
picture, right.
because I already agreed with you that if you go on with logic itself, you're gonna still have some doubts. You're gonna have still some, let's say, gaps in your explanations. But logic should give you satisfactory answers, or should give you something to lead you to the truth. I would say with your logic, read the Quran and try to think about these things.